Welcome back to Yahoo Finance, live from the Labor Department here in Washington, D.C. I'm Jennifer Schonberger. For more insight on this morning's jobs report, I want to welcome into the program Acting Labor Secretary Julie Su. Secretary Su, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
We got a bit of a weaker payroll number than expected, showing a continued cooling trend, but still a rebound from that much weaker July jobs report. To what do you attribute this rebound? What is happening there? What's the dynamic?
Yeah, look, I mean, this is a continued sign of what we talk about month after month, which is we are seeing steady and stable job growth. This is part of the transition from the breakneck speed of job growth that we saw in the initial years of the recovery. Again, none of that happened by accident. Many people predicted it would not be possible. A lot of people said we would not get to a 4% unemployment rate for a very long time, and we defied all those expectations. And so this is a continued steady, stable job growth, 142,000 jobs, while labor force participation rate remains steady, and the unemployment rate still remains the lowest for the longest stretch it's been in decades. And so this is the sign of an economy that is very, very strong.
Continued stable job growth, you say, but we are seeing a cooling trend. When we look at the revisions today, for instance, June now only 118,000 jobs, July only 89,000 created, of course, August 142,000. My question is, how much more can we see the labor market continue to cool without a recession?
So that R word has been thrown around for some time. And, by contrast, everybody said, will there be this soft landing? I think what we've seen over the last year, and, the last few months are no different, is that coveted soft landing. It's a, labor market that remains very strong, that, by all indications, especially when you combine it with our strong GDP growth, the battle against inflation, the, labor force participation. Again, women in the labor force broke the last record which we set, which was in May. Overall, right, the indicators of the economy are of strong, robust growth and not recession.
The preliminary benchmark revisions that we got a couple weeks ago showed that job growth from March in the prior 12 months was actually lower by 800,000. Do you expect further revisions like that for the balance of this year?
Revisions are part of what the BLS does. It's nothing out of the ordinary about that. It's the reason why we can come out every month and provide data, and then because of the reliable and transparent way that BLS operates, provide revisions afterwards. And so,
but it's possible we could see weaker job growth given the trend we've seen, right?
Yeah, we can see revisions both up and down. That's true in all administrations. And again, it's a sign of the why the BLS data is considered the gold standard is because it's able to be released quickly and then revised as more data comes in.
You just said the BLS data considered the gold standard, and I do want to ask you, because there's debate right now about whether the BLS and the census are undercounting immigration. In fact, Brookings just came out with a study recently finding that U.S. and foreign-born employment increased more than published data show. So do you think that the household and establishment surveys are undercounting?
Right. I mean, so the data, this is the largest amount of data collection about the state of our economy, the state of the labor market, the unemployment rate that as exists. And so, certainly we continue to data collection. It is an art, not a science. It requires us to, reach out to households, and sometimes they respond timely, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we can do it by phone, sometimes we have to knock on doors. And so there's always, the effort to make sure that the data we get is as comprehensive and as accurate as possible, and then we make revisions when more data comes in. And it's for a very long time, the BLS data has been considered reliable because of all that work that goes into it.
Switching gears, Secretary, I want to ask you about a couple of looming strikes. Do you think that Boeing and its factory workers will be able to come to an agreement by the deadline of September 12th and avoid a strike? What are you hearing from both sides now?
So the parties are at the table and they're negotiating. We've said from the very beginning that this administration supports collective bargaining. We believe that unions unions are good for this country. And the jobs data reflects that, right? That we can build an economy in which workers come first, in which workers do well, and supporting collective bargaining is a part of that. And so, we encourage them to stay at the table, and the parties always seem like they're far apart until they're not. It's something that I've certainly seen firsthand, and so it's premature at this point to talk about an actual strike.
And along the same wavelength, a contract for longshore workers on both the East and Gulf coasts are set to expire at the end of this month. But there is pushback from the union about automation. The union is concerned that technology is taking union workers' jobs.
Right.
What do you say to that union and other unions who are concerned about AI and automation?
Yeah, this is why the president has been all in on making sure that in the development of artificial intelligence that we look out for workers, that we make sure that AI does right by workers. And this automation question is not limited to the ports. It was also an issue in the West Coast ports. And we know that we can build an economy, build a world in which we use technology for the things that it can do to make our lives easier, make our lives better, right? Eliminate maybe the most grueling and repetitive tasks, but make sure that we also protect workers and good jobs. And that's a big priority for this administration. And we know that when workers have a voice in determining how technology will be used, how it will be implemented, that's good for working people too. We see that across many industries. And so that's another reason why unions and collective bargaining are positive forces.